Hi everyone, this is Richard, CEO of altFINS, and in this video I will show you how I am trading this bear market, and I will also lay out arguments why we are likely to see a big relief rally off of these extremely oversold levels, and maybe even the beginning of a bull market off of these levels. I am psyched about the opportunities in this market, and if you have survived this drawdown, you could be in a very good position to take advantage of it. Now keep in mind that this video is for informational purposes only, not meant to be financial advice, and do your own research. Suffice to say that crypto markets got clobbered this week after a series of negative announcements. I'm sure you've seen all of them that have stirred up some FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Among them were the SEC lawsuit against Binance and Coinbase, in which it named 13 assets as securities. And the SEC has asked for an asset freeze at Binance US, and Robinhood also has decided to delist some of these altcoins, specifically Solana, Cardano, and MATIC, Polygon, because SEC labeled them as securities. Clearly, that's creating some selling pressure as the Robinhood customer base basically has to sell these assets, and so there's obviously been a fair amount of FUD that these news announcements have created, and the negativity just fed on itself and created a feedback loop. However, we have reached some really extreme oversold levels, and opportunities like these come around maybe once or twice a year. We saw something similar to that at the end of last year after all the negative news from FTX, Luna, Celsius, Voyagers, and other corrupt and bankrupt centralized institutions. And that led to a huge rally in the beginning of this year. So when there's chaos and blood in the streets, there are opportunities. Let's take a look at the performance in the last week or so. Clearly, on a weekly basis, we're down. Now, clearly on a weekly basis, we are down, but look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, not that much, not even on a monthly basis. And that's one of my first arguments why I don't think that this is really that terrible. I mean, the altcoins have taken it on the chin, but the two large cap coins are holding up well. Obviously, it could be the case that a lot of the altcoin money is flowing into these two, but it's still encouraging that both Bitcoin and Ethereum have actually maintained their long-term uptrends. Okay, as you can see on the long-term basis, Bitcoin is still up. Ethereum is actually up on the medium and strong on the long-term basis as well. I'm really bullish on Ethereum. Now, the other altcoins obviously fared much worse. Binance down 23%, Cardano down 27%, although it's bouncing up today a bit. Dodge is down 15%, so on. Solana, Polygon, those assets that were basically being delisted by Robinhood have really been impacted. But easily most of the altcoins are down double digits, 20% plus. Now, with having said that, we are very, very oversold. Let's take a look at the oscillator here tab. As you can see, Binance oversold on RSI 9, 14, and 25 as well. I mean, you're going to see a lot of these, and some of these are extremely oversold. Extremely oversold meaning, let's take a look at RSI 14 right here, specifically RSI 14 level. For some of these, and we'll look at Binance at 18. When RSI dips below 30, it's oversold. When it dips below 25, it's very oversold. When it dips below 20, it's extremely oversold, and it doesn't last long. Cardano down, RSI is at 20. Dogecoin now at 32, not that terrible. Tron as well. Solana 28. Polygon 26. I mean, we are oversold. And typically there is a relief rally that comes after reaching some really fever pitch negativity, terrible sentiment, lots of bad news that's kind of piled up, and there's just a lot of traders were caught flat-footed, or perhaps they were levered and had to close their positions. And so this is an opportune time for those who have survived this downturn, and those who haven't been closed out because of leverage. I recommend that you don't use leverage exactly for these types of situations because you're gonna get smoked sooner or later. Now, having said that, why am I still bullish? And in fact, not just near term, but even for the rest of this year and next year. Well, there's some macro reasons as well. First of all, interest rates have peaked. Let's take a look at actually our research, where we publish on a weekly basis a macro update. And in that macro report, we specifically talk about the performance of the stock market, but also the interest rate level or inflation levels, right? The big contributing factor to last year's bear market in cryptocurrencies, but also stock market, was the fact that the Fed and other central banks were raising interest rates because of the inflation. As you can see, inflation began really rising in 2021 and really continued through mid 2022. And so with that, central banks, including US, began really sharply raising interest rates, and that had a very negative impact on valuations of risk assets such as stocks and crypto as well. Now, inflation is rolling over in the US. It might not feel that way to you because prices are still high, but the increase in prices is slowing down. And with that, I think that what we're seeing in the stock market and what the expectation is that the central banks will pause or even stop their rate increases and maybe even begin to unwind those rate increases and lower the rates at the end of this year or beginning of next year. And that's going to be extremely positive for risk assets, including crypto and stocks. So that's the first argument. The interest rates have peaked, inflation has peaked, the Fed and other central banks will pause or even reverse the interest rate increases. Secondly, let's look at the stock market performance year to date. Look at Dow Jones year to date, flattish, but S&P 500 is more relevant, more representative, is up 12%. NASDAQ is up 27%. These are technology stocks that are very sensitive to interest rates, just like crypto is. They're up 26% year to date, and even in the last month, up 8%. So there's been clearly a decoupling between the stock market and the crypto performance, and it all has to do with just self-inflicted wounds, or frankly, wounds inflicted by the regulators in the US. But that's okay. I mean, it's temporary. That is a temporary dislocation of assets and the buyers in the market. But crypto should begin to once again correlate with technology stocks and stocks in general with other risk assets. So that's another reason why I'm confident that that crypto will make a comeback this year as well. Third was the performance of Bitcoin and Ethereum, as I mentioned, still remain in an uptrend, have not really cratered in as much as the altcoins. And fourth, I've already kind of hinted on this, but this FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt will dissipate. Just like after last year, after the FTX and Luna debacle and other bankrupt and corrupt centralized players in the market, the sentiment was terrible. And guess what? We had a major run afterwards when the dust settled, and the dust will settle again. And I think sooner rather than later, that's my own opinion, the crypto sector will find a way and ways and places to continue to thrive, to keep building. And already many companies in the sector have been moving their headquarters to jurisdictions with favorable crypto regulations away from the US. and decentralized projects continue to function unaffected. So those are the key reasons why I remain bullish, not even in just the near term because we are extremely oversold, but even the longer term, but not super long term. I mean, this year, I think we could see a really big relief rally and even maybe a beginning of a bull market. Now, from a trader's perspective, what am I doing? Well, obviously you could do nothing and wait for the trends to reverse because the trends have clearly been broken. If we look at the signal summary and scroll down to how many coins are in an up versus downtrend, well, 58 coins are in an uptrend, and only 5 are in the strong uptrend. And look at all the coins that are in the downtrend, 425 in the strong downtrend, 1600 and then some in a downtrend in general. But so, for trend traders, this is a tough market. For swing traders, there are opportunities. Now, they will be perhaps higher risk trade setups because a lot of times these swing trades that I'll talk about next will be against the overall downtrend. And typically the rule number one is trade with the trend. Trend is your friend. So I will make a note of this, that some of these swing trades that I'm going to go through now, opportunities are higher risk because they're against the trend. But when we reach these kinds of extremely oversold levels, those are exceptional times when I make an exception to the trend is your friend, trade with the trend rules. So for those, there are several places on our platform where I can find such opportunities. And the first one is right here that says very oversold. 148 coins are very oversold, meaning RSI is under 25. Let's take a look at it. When I click on that 148 number, I'm taken basically to the crypto screener. And here, as you can see, the filter says RSI, show me all the coins that have an RSI 14 or 14-day RSI below 25. And that's very oversold. Let's take a look at, again, if I add the RSI 14 to this table, as you can see, Binance is at 18, Cardano at 20. These are very, very oversold coins. I would say even extremely oversold when they're under 20 or at 20 RSI. So these are really interesting opportunities. I think these coins are likely to bounce back in the near term, is my personal opinion, not financial advice. And what do we do here? Well, at this point, I mean, it helps when these oversold coins are near some kind of a support. So let's take a look for Binance coin, for example. Where is the nearest support level? First of all, let's show default analytics, meaning I like to see the moving averages, but also the RSI right here. As I mentioned, it's at 18. And let's look at a longer time horizon. As you can see, back in late 2022, December, is when, again, it was a period of time, there was a lot of fear. If you remember, this was after a lot of negative events at the end of last year happened, right? FTX and so on. The markets tanked and then rallied from there on in the beginning of this year, big time. Really feel like we could be at that sort of level again. And my point here really is that looking for the support levels, oftentimes looking at the extremes, both on the top, which would be resistance levels, and on the bottom, where are the levels where the price in the past had dipped and bounced. Well, here clearly it dipped as low as $220 and bounced. Well, we are right there right now. We're at 237, but we actually reached that low. The low was 228. So this is a support area. Now, another way to do this is by looking at our what we call curated chart or technical analysis, where we actually highlight the key support and resistance areas. And you can see in this technical analysis chart, we identified support zone as $220. So we are very near that level, and I think that when you are very oversold near a support level, you're likely to see a bounce, a substantial bounce, I think, in the near term. We're talking 10, 20%. Now, it may not be the beginning of a trend. It's not necessarily a reversal of the downtrend. I'm not saying that. It could be, we'll have to see, but I think in the near term, we could see a nice relief rally. Let's look at Cardano similarly. Again, look at the chart and 1 year chart right here. Let's get rid of these moving averages for now. And as you can see, we also here, we're back to that level at the end of that we last saw at the end of 2022. So again, that's a major support level where we saw the price bounce and rally this year. Again, we're down to that level after several days of down candles and extremely oversold. RSI is at 20. I think this one is likely to bounce. Moreover, Cardano as a project is actually doing really well, meaning there's a lot of new projects, DeFi project building on top of Cardano network, and the TVL is rising and so on. So actually fundamentally Cardano is actually doing well this year. And this price action is really related to some of these negative news and the fact that Robinhood is delisting it. Now look at the curated chart here. What do we say here? We are bullish. It's oversold at support right here at 25 cents, more or less where it bounced off of last year as well. Maybe a little lower, but it's a support zone, not a specific level. So another interesting situation here. So that's one way to go and find some interesting swing trading opportunities. Another way, basically, also when I go back to signal summary, and there's another market scan or market filter right below the one that we just analyzed. Below the very oversold is another one that says oversold in uptrend. So these are coins that are still in an uptrend on a medium and long-term horizon basis, but are oversold. Maybe not extremely oversold, but oversold nevertheless. And there's 16 of those. So let's take a look at which ones those are. Well, surprise, surprise, they're Tron, Litecoin, Lido, which is a liquid staking, Ethereum staking platform, the leading one, in fact, the largest one. So there's some interesting projects on this list. Again, these coins, let's take a trend. Take a look at the trend here. They're still in an uptrend on the medium and long-term basis, really experiencing a pullback in an uptrend and are oversold because their RSI level based on this filter is below 40. For coins that are in an uptrend, RSI below 40 means that they're oversold actually. So these are interesting opportunities. Again, you can look at also at the created charts to help you gauge where the support level is specifically for Tron. Let's take a look. It dipped all the way down to this 200-day moving average and 6 cents or 6.5 cent horizontal support zone as well. That would have been a nice opportunity here. Now it's bounced up a bit, so I would see if it comes back to that level of 6 cents, that would be a great opportunity to jump in and look at Litecoin here. That one looks interesting as well. It's got a bearish breakout here clearly, but again, it's oversold. It's still in an uptrend. That might be an interesting opportunity here around the 80, 78, $80 level and so on. Another place where you can find some of these opportunities are simply under the technical analysis section, where we maintain TA or technical analysis on about 60 top altcoins, including Bitcoin. And here you can also find some bullish near-term outlook trade setups. As you can see, we have Cosmos, Axie Infinity, Chili's, Compound, and others that we think are bullish, near-term bullish trading setups. Now, they may be in a downtrend, but in the near term, they are extremely oversold. Let's take a look at, let's see this one, Chili's, for example. All right, here we identified that it has broken bearishly out of the descending triangle, which is bearish, but now it's reached 6 cents support zone, and it's really extremely oversold. Look at that, 14, RSI of 14. This is, way overdone. Now, it is in a downtrend, so this trade setup is of a higher risk if I'm going to go long here, because it is against the trend. But I do think that such oversold levels are extreme. I also noticed that there's a lot of volume that has traded here in the last day or two. So a lot of the sellers have already blown out of it, and new buyers have stepped in. So hopefully the selling pressure has has been absorbed. All right, guys. So those are the 2 or 3 ways that you can go about using this platform to find some trading ideas in this current environment. Again, do your own research, and this is not financial advice. This is just my own personal opinion and the way I trade the market currently. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or recommendations or feedback, please email us at invest@altfins.com. Good luck trading.